This is the story of the horror a live streamer faces when she becomes the target of an obsessed and crazed stalker. A live streamer named Nina, who lives in Japan, spends her evenings using her virtual avatar to stream in order to hide her true identity and stay safe from the pool of strangers online, until one day, after downloading a game sent through a link to her by one of her fans, she gets hacked and her real face gets exposed and her worst nightmares come to life. A few people start recognizing her with one specific stranger following her everywhere she goes without uttering as much of a word. Living alone in her apartment with only a best friend she occasionally meets, life is very scary for her. Things even get worse when she sees a picture of her best friend with the stalker, shattering her world, not knowing who to trust anymore. Nina is a VTuber who spends many hours at her computer desk streaming with her virtual avatar called Senra Nina. The very first game she streams is Akamanto, which is interestingly another chillas arts game, which I made a video about before. After dying to Akamanto, the protagonist decides to play another game as this game doesn't have any save and it simply would make Nina suffer than enjoy her time streaming. One of her fans watching the stream sends a link of a game to her, a game which she would probably find interesting. This viewer clearly has been a long-term fan of the protagonist, as they have chosen a username reading "I love Nina," very publicly displaying their support for her. After the protagonist clears the game, something unexpected and shocking happens. Her virtual avatar disappears, with her camera revealing her real face, having an unexpected face reveal with the chat going crazy, commenting on her looks. This horrifies Nina, who quickly shuts off the stream prematurely in a panic, unsure to why her program failed and exposed her, something that she was unwilling to do, showing her face for thousands of people to see online. Being concerned and worried her face will be exposed for everyone to see now, her train of thoughts are put to a dreadful pause when she gets a text from an unknown number threatening her to carry on playing the games that they sent, otherwise bad things would happen. It's clearly revealed here that the viewer by the username I love Nina, who sent her the link to download a game, sent her a malware which made her computer vulnerable to remote hacks and attacks. Her program malfunctioning and revealing her real face was a direct result of this malware, which possibly could control her PC remotely. That's why she should have never opened a link sent to her by an unknown person, let alone downloading a game or a program and installing from a shady website which has been specifically created for the protagonist. She quickly texts her friend Asuka, who invites her to meet up tomorrow to chat. That's when the protagonist's doorbell rings, receiving a note through her letterbox reading that they're always watching her, with another text from an unknown number saying that there's no use blocking the number as they can always stalk and harass her. Looking outside, there's no one to be seen, which spooks the protagonist, who barely manages falling asleep the night, not able to relax. Nina, living alone in an apartment in a large building, she falls asleep at her desk as she can't keep her mind off what happened to her and that someone possibly dangerous is stalking her. She spends the entire night running scans on her computer using a top-of-the-line antivirus program, which reveals that she doesn't have any malware or virus. Barely getting any sleep, her alarm for trash pickup day wakes her up at 10 a.m. Leaving the apartment, she has an encounter with a police officer who seems to genuinely care for her safety and gives her a promise for support whenever she wants it. You might ask, very convenient, and we will find out that it truly was too good to be true. At the dumpster, she has a weird encounter with a person who's throwing trash as well, who stares at the protagonist for a long time, not saying a word, which makes the protagonist uncomfortable, throwing her trash and leaving. Watching the stranger from afar, she notices him throwing his own trash and picking up someone else's out of the dumpster as if belonging to the protagonist before leaving leaving very quickly. Being really weirded out, thinking that it must all relate to the face reveal, she goes back to the apartment where she feels the safest. Her friend Asuka soon shows up, who takes her out to the local coffee shop so they can relax and catch up on what the protagonist has been going through. At their table, Nina explains what happened to her, which Asuka surprisingly warns her to never download unverified files, as she definitely has been hacked. Asuka, seemingly being a good friend, assures the protagonist nothing bad would possibly come of this, as she has auto-lock security system in her apartment, but nonetheless, she should be more vigilant and not trust her fans, as she doesn't know who they truly are. That's when a strange hooded man gets too close to their table, weirdly staring at the protagonist before sitting next to the table. He picks his phone up, watching a VTuber who seems to be none other than the protagonist's avatar, Nina. That's when this creepy man stands up, holding his phone out while staring at the protagonist as if recognizing her, but without uttering as much of a word, he leaves very abruptly. The fact that the protagonist recently broke up with her boyfriend, living completely alone now, doesn't help either, feeling safe and secure, especially in any urgent situation. After a while, time being close to 7:30 p.m., the time for the protagonist's usual stream time, she says goodbye to Asuka, getting to the elevator, when the same hooded man who was staring at her quickly gets into the elevator, staying in without saying a word, seeing what floor the protagonist is located on. Worried to whom this guy might be, she tries to not overthink it, quickly getting into her apartment and looking up, starting her stream. Putting her avatar back on, for some strange reason, she continues playing the game, which was sent to her by the viewer, having the username I Love Nina. It seems as if the protagonist is scared something bad would happen to her if she doesn't, feeling really creeped out by the hooded man that was staring at her. While playing, I Love Nina user comments something very sinister, that they also enjoy going to Chillas coffee shop, the coffee shop that she went to with Asuka, which reveals this viewer is in fact stalking the protagonist, knowing exactly where she is. After finishing the stream and subsequently taking a bath, the lights suddenly turn off and strange sounds are heard as if someone is walking around, which terrifies Nina, but nothing out of ordinary happens when she goes to bed, barely managing to sleep. Next day, she receives a note through the letterbox by the building manager, having her information. After calling the number on the note, the building manager urges Nina to call for any concerns that she has, such as stalking incidents, as if they are very common or as if the building manager knows of something, being strangely too specific about what Nina is experiencing right now. Nina gets back to streaming with I Love Nina user asking in a comment if she enjoyed having her bath last night. Regardless, Nina doesn't react to this comment, even though it clearly suggests the user is somehow watching her, possibly through her webcam. After clearing the game, she orders some food, followed by a delivery guy buzzing her doorbell almost instantly. Opening the door with the person claiming to be from the delivery service, he instantly reveals he knows her for being the VTuber who exposed her face, claiming to be one of her supporters and giving her some creepy advice that she shouldn't open the door without the security chain. Waiting for some time and not getting her order, she decides to go to the local convenience store. On the communal pathway, she encounters Miyamoto, the building manager, who also presses her if she's alone, whether she has a boyfriend, and it's not safe for a girl to be alone, which personally drives me crazy. It's so bizarre so many strangers jump into personal conversations, having no boundaries, yet warning and advising Nina of being careful of such people and creeps, as if so many incidents have happened in the area or they know about Nina's situation. Down in the convenience store, Nina gets approached by Rikia, someone Nina has blocked on social, seemingly being her ex. He warns her of her friend Asuka that she shouldn't be trusted and that he has evidence, before the conversation is cut short by the store clerk telling Rikia to stop, observing how uncomfortable Nina is. Outside, Nina is stalked by the same hooded guy from the coffee shop who follows her up to her building, which understandably terrifies Nina, who walks as fast as she can, ignoring him to avoid any confrontation. She manages to get to the elevator, evading this creepy man, when the elevator stops at a floor with this hooded man coming out of the fire escape stairwell, stopping the elevator and getting on while Nina is going up to her floor. Barely containing herself, being extremely scared, she quickly walks to her apartment while this creepy man just stares at her, blatantly displaying his stalking her. Locking herself in, she quickly texts Asuka telling her about the incident, to which she instructs her to go to the police box tomorrow, as calling them now wouldn't help much as it could aggravate the stalker and police wouldn't take her too serious without any evidence. At the same time, she unblocks Rikia, her ex-boyfriend, who sends her a photo of Asuka talking to none other than the stalker with the hoodie, which leaves Nina in a state of shock, not believing her own eyes. Rikia tells her that Asuka might not be too trustworthy and she should block her, especially as she can freely enter her apartment, having access to her auto-lock security for her apartment. After blocking Asuka, in horror, she notices her virtual avatar is having a mind of its own, talking directly to Nina on how both of them are alone and vulnerable. That's when she hears tapping at her bedroom window, pulling the curtains to see the hooded stalker outside, watching her. As she tries to call the police, the stalker somehow gets to the balcony on the other side of the apartment, breaking in, when Nina quickly listens to her stream chat, who somehow seem to know what's happening, as if she's a character in her own streamed games, who all instruct her to get the screwdriver and stab the intruder. After she does so, her entry door opens automatically, with Asuka, her best friend, coming in and stabbing her to death. Her last fleeting thoughts being how painful it is being betrayed by her best friend. She jumps out of her sleep, relieved that it was nothing but a bad nightmare. Being early morning, Nina goes to the local police box to get some help through consultation. The police officer that she met before is very helpful and in a supportive manner gives his direct number to be contacted anytime that she feels threatened. But unfortunately, due to lack of sufficient evidence, he mentions there's not much that they can do. As Nina goes back to her apartment, she has the chance to contact her best friend Asuka and get some sort of closure to understand why she was seen with the stalker. She calls Asuka, who gets to her place, explaining that the stalker approached her without talking much, just standing in her way, acting lost and confused. After some time, he leaves without saying anything. Asuka then becomes very curious to how the ex-boyfriend could be there at the right time and take a photo of a seemingly normal encounter. The question is, how would the ex know about who is stalking Nina? Nina then starts to stream with Asuka, leaving to the convenience store to get some food. That's when she sees a live footage of a first-person perspective walking towards the same building that she lives in, going up to her floor and subsequently to her apartment. To her shock, when she turns, she sees a phone recording her, to which she becomes frozen in her place. The hand recording with a phone then disappears. Checking the apartment, there's no one to be seen, with several recordings getting displayed on her monitor of her private times being in the bedroom sleeping, taking a bath, and in the toilet. It becomes clear someone has been creeping on her, even inside the house. She instantly calls Asuka with her ringtone coming from the balcony from the neighboring apartment. That's the apartment that is currently under renovation. As she goes through the balcony to the neighboring apartment, she is horrified to see screens having hidden cameras in her apartment recording her, with several photos of her on a pinboard. That's when she sees Asuka being tied in the bathtub with the stalker coming to the apartment. Nina quickly runs back to her own apartment with the stalker being there as well, which confuses her to how that's possible, with the stalker being in two different places at the same time. She quickly runs to the elevator with the stalker running towards her when the building manager, Miyamoto, tries to stop her, saying that it's not safe for a girl to go outside now. She decides to run to the police station when she suddenly sees the nice police officer who she spoke to before suddenly appearing out of nowhere, saying exactly the same thing Miyamoto said, that it's not safe for a girl to be outside now. Nina, understanding something is very wrong, as how would the police be exactly there at this time? She runs away to the police station with the police officer running after her, trying to stop her, clear at this point that he is not on her side. After reporting everything to the police, the mystery is revealed that the boyfriend, Rikiya, has been the mastermind behind it all, with the building manager being Rikiya's mother, the police officer being his younger brother who posed as a police officer, and the hooded man being a stranger who collaborated with them. They all get arrested for breaking and entering, with Nina's friendship with Asuka becoming even stronger on how she was the only one who truly supported her in this horrifying incident. The full story is unveiled through the second ending, which is through not trusting Asuka and not calling her after speaking to the police officer. When she does so, after noticing the stalker in her apartment, she has the choice to call the building manager, the police officer, or her ex, Rikiya. No matter who she calls, the outcome will be the same, with Rikiya somehow coming to the house alongside the police officer or the building manager who fend off the stalker and rescue her. After some time, Rikiya and Nina are dating again, with the stalker being arrested. Nina and Rikiya spending time together in the coffee shop. Asuka suddenly comes to her as she is blocked and cannot communicate with her online, showing a picture that Rikiya has been paying the stalker to pose as a stalker and terrify Nina. So what does that all mean? And why was Nina put under so much stress by the boyfriend hiring a person to pose as a stalker? Well, my theory is that Rikiya, after being dumped, couldn't handle it and never stopped thinking about Nina. He plans a sinister plot to collaborate with his little brother, posing as a police officer, and her mother as the building manager. He then hires a stranger to pose as her stalker, manipulating her that she needs the support of someone to stay safe. The building manager being his mother and the fake officer being his brother all manipulate her that it's not safe for her to be alone without a boyfriend. Hence the strange and boundaryless conversations and why the police officer didn't take her inside the police station, as he wasn't really an officer and working there. The boyfriend then plotted to make Nina distrust her best friend Asuka, and the advice of all the other people saying that she needs to have real support. Conveniently, he comes to her rescue when the intruder is inside the apartment, posing as her savior so they can get back together. And the stranger took the fall with the large amount of money the rich Rikiya gave to him. Therefore, it's been all part of a twisted and sinister plan for an overly obsessed ex-boyfriend to get back with Nina, and Asuka was the only true friend and person she could rely on and was in their way.